Hello YouTube, this is Mystikaal, aka Sandra, and I am here to do a recap for Supernatural Season 8, Episode 21, The Great Escapist. This episode opens up with Kevin. He's back in his bunker, safe boat, and it's covered with angel and demon warding sigils, and we wonder how he got back there, or like how he evaded Crowley when he left last time. But you hear a knock on the door and he goes to answer, and it turns out it's Sam and Dean, and after hesitating, he lets them in, sprays them down with holy water, and they're okay. So he lets them in, and he yells at them for not using his secret knock. Like, what is the point of having a secret knock if you never use it, right? So they tell him that they heard that Crowley was moving his operations, and they set an awesome trap and got his copy, or his half, of the demon tablet. So they ask if Kevin's going to go dig up his half of the demon tablet, and Kevin says, I don't need it. He's got notes and scribbles all over the place, and he's transcribed everything that's on there. So he tells him, well, great, now that we have the other half, we can figure out what the third trial is and lock the door on Crowley's ass forever. So they say, oh, that's great. We're gonna go out and make some noise and keep the heat off of you. You stay here and keep working on that, and we'll go. And they're just acting so weird and stiff, and I was just about to tweet, what the hell is wrong with Sam and Dean? And then they go outside and they walk through some type of membrane, and they're inside a studio, and Crowley's there, and there's a production team and screens, and it's like, oh, wait, when the hell did Crowley develop this whole, I know I missed an episode or two this season, but when did he get the ability to do this? He sent demons in and made him believe that, I don't even know how he's controlling this whole thing, but I don't know, maybe I'm asking too many questions. But he gives the demons notes on being Sam and Dean, that they weren't quite up to par. So, he sends them off to get better, I guess, because they've been wiping Kevin's short-term memory because they haven't been doing a good job, I guess. So every time they messed up, they wiped his short-term memory, and he doesn't want to keep doing that because it might affect, stuff that he needs in there. So then we go to Sam and Dean in their Men of Letters secret lair, and Chef Dean has prepared a wonderful meal for Sam, who hasn't eaten in 3 days, and he doesn't want any of it, and he doesn't want Dean to take care of him. He just wants to get on with it, find out what the next trial is, and keep it moving. They get an email that from Kevin, and he says that if they're seeing it, that he's dead, because he had set it up, but he used to check in once a week to keep it from being sent, and if he didn't check in and keep it from being sent, that means he's dead, that Crowley got to him. And he's sorry that he wasn't able to do what he needed to do. He tried, but that the reason he's sending the email is so that he can transmit to them the information that he's been uploading from his work on the tablet, so that they can continue his work without him there. And it's a very sad message, and Sam and Dean, are upset and all that, but we know that Kevin's with Crowley, so it's not that sad for us. But anyway, they pour over this information, and Sam keeps seeing this symbol that's familiar to him, because in a class he took when he was at Stanford, he saw that symbol, and it turns out it was for this small tribe, and they were the only tribe that was able to keep their land while all the other Native Americans lost their land to the white man. The loose translation of the symbol means messenger of God. So Sam thinks that messenger of God, it must be Metatron, and that, you know, even if they were to have a tablet, which they don't have anything, they would be able to decipher it. They don't have another prophet. No new prophet has shown up since Kevin died. So why not go to this tribe and find Metatron? He can tell them what the next trial is. So they head out to this tribe, and they get to the hotel, and the hotel manager is very morose, very, you know, he says not. I don't think he spoke one word. They want to check in, and he's looking at them like, you know, what the hell are you doing here? But you know, they check in, they go upstairs. Dean goes down to investigate, see what's up with what, and Sam stays upstairs to rest, even though he wants to go out. He's feverish. He's coming apart at the seams. So he stays upstairs to rest. Dean goes downstairs, and you know, he starts getting the package spiel from the guy in the gift shop, and he starts telling him about the tribe and how, you know, when they came to the lands, their great leader said that it was the land of the messenger of the gods, and that if they gave him sacrifices, that he would bless them. And Dean asks what sacrifices did they make, and he says, oh, he wanted stories. And while, you know, Dean's looking around, he sees a picture that's, you know, very old-timey, long-ago picture, and the hotel manager is in that picture. So he's like, I know what the blessings were. So upstairs, Sam is he feverishly stumbles out into the hallway and is stumbling his way down the hall. He sees the hotel manager come out and leave boxes in front of a room. As soon as he leaves, Sam goes and investigates, and inside the boxes are all kinds of books. So he heads back to the room, calls Dean, and passes out. Dean steals his kidneys, or that's the first thing that came to mind. Sam wakes up in a bathtub full of ice water. So you know, he says, you passed out, your fever was 107, I had to force it down. So, you know, they trade stories about what they've been up to, and decide to head down to the room where the books were left. When they get there, all the boxes are gone. So they head inside the room, and you know, there are just books from floor to ceiling, bookshelves all over the place. It's everywhere you look, it's books. And they turn around, and Metatron is there holding a gun on them. And I'm like, he's an angel. Well, why would he need a gun? He could fling them across the room, you know, with just by thinking it. So he's holding a gun on them, and he asks, you know, who they are. And they're like, who are we? We are the Winchesters. What kind of angel are you? And he's like, what? They would name check in like Reese Witherspoon. We are the Winchesters. You don't know the Sam. I'm Dean. Hello. Oh, you don't know who we are? Well, you about to know, huh? So, he has no idea, and you can tell he's an angel, but he has not been checked into the main line for a long time. And that's how he's been able to survive there, living with this tribe of Native Americans for all this time. Is that he has been hiding himself for, you know, very carefully, and living there amongst them and just reading books, all kinds of books. And he marvels at the ingenuity and the creativity and the mind of man, and you know, it's just wonderful, and the worlds that we create, and how we become gods of these infinite universes, and you know, it's wonderful to him. And Sam and Dean are like, what? Sam goes, oh, just shoot me. Just pull the trigger. Just shoot me. Because, you know, all this time, hell has been breaking loose, literally and figuratively. And you're sitting up here having your Reading Rainbow Oprah Book of the Month Club. Like, what? You calls him a coward. It's like, you know, Dean's like, you know, if you want a story, let me tell you the story of Kevin. He was a prophet, one of your prophets, and he's dead now because while you were supposed to be protecting him, he was out there on his own, and Crowley killed him. Cut back to my boy Kevin. He is talking to the demons Sam and Dean, and you know, he sends them off to get him food. The barbecue dinner, ribs with garlic mashed potatoes, and he wants some pad thai, and you know, they look at him funny, and then they go off and get it. They come back, and he tells them, you know, you guys are right. I need the other half of that tablet because there's some things in between that I just can't get the meaning of. So here's the address for this for where I hid the tablet. He sends them off, and where he sends them to is there's nothing there, and he sends them to a demon trap. Our boy Kevin is so smart, right? So they call Crowley and tell him that, you know, they've been duped. He knows that they're demons, and so Crowley goes back to Kevin, kicks in the door, and you know, says, you know, what? How did you find out? How did you know? Kevin says, well, it started when they didn't know the secret knock. But then also, Sam and Dean would never go across town and get me a meal, especially when there's leftover burritos in the fridge. So Crowley says, to sum it all up, my demons were too polite. And he said, yeah, that's about it. And so, you know, of course, now Crowley gets pissed off, and he says, well, I don't need you. I have the angel tablet, which I need to get to how he got the angel tablet. Okay, so Crowley says, you know, I have the angel tablet, and I don't need you. I've got deals and plans, and, you know, Kevin's like, you know, you could have had so much power if you weren't running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And, you know, he grabs that, and Crowley grabs him by the neck, lifts him up, throws him against the wall, and is crushing the life out of him. And, you know, just as you can see Kevin is about to choke to death, his lights begin to flash with that angel light. And it gets brighter and brighter, and Crowley is thrown across the room, and he has got such burn, like his skin is crackling and fizzling and burning, and Kevin disappears. He's with Metatron and Sam and Dean, and Metatron heals him, and he comes back to life, and Metatron pulls Dean aside and says, you know, are you really going to do this? Are you really going to close the gates of hell? Because you have to ask yourself if you're really willing to do what it takes, and what the world will be like after that. Ooh. Because if the demons aren't there, then the angels have free reign. Like, you would have to close heaven and hell, and then man would just be left to their own devices, I guess. But anyway, they go back. Kevin wakes up, and Metatron says the next trial is to cure a demon. Which, cure a demon? How the hell do you cure a demon? Okay, so that's that. That's where we ended the episode with them. Now, Cass is in the restaurant, and he's having conversation with this woman, and you know, makes an order, and he's looking at his coffee, and he sees it start to tremble, and he says, oh, they're getting close. So he phases away, and two angels phase in, and you know, phase back out because he's not there. And one of the angels goes before Naomi and reports in that they're trying to find Cass, but they can't find him because he's using this chain of restaurants called Bigger Sins, and they're built exactly the same, and he just keeps phasing from one restaurant to the next, to the next, to the next, and because he's deciding which one to go to first, you know, they can't figure out, like, they can't get there before he leaves. So Naomi says, well, if you can't catch him, then we're just going to have to get him to stop. And in order to do that, they slaughter everyone in this one restaurant, the first one he was in. And he's phasing and phasing and phasing and phasing until he gets back to that one, and he sees there's blood all over the table, and he hears, "You have to stop." They said, "You have to stop." They said, "You have to stop." And he looks over, and it's the waitress he was talking to, and her eyes are burnt out, and there's blood running down her face, and she's saying, "You have to stop." They said, "You have to stop. You have to stop." He said, "You have to stop." Oh, can you imagine? Oh, God. Anyway, he leans down to heal her, and as he's doing that, the angel blade put to his neck, and it's the angels, they found him, and Naomi comes in, and she tells him, well, first she kills the waitress because she couldn't hear herself thinking, and he says, we're supposed to be their shepherds, not their murderers. And she says, not all the time. Remember back in Egypt, not so long ago, when we had to kill the firstborn son of every family that didn't have a mark on their door? And he's like, well, maybe so, but I wasn't there. And she's like, oh, no, you were there. You just don't remember. And he said, how many times have you been in my head, woman, cleaning out this? And she said, well, it's been too many times, really. And, there's just something wrong with you because you've never done what you're supposed to do. There's just something wrong with you from the beginning. You've always, been rogue. And it comes to mind to me that, like, if Metatron had been in the loop and in the midst, like, he would have been dead. Probably he would have been corrupt with the other angels, but I don't know how many Casses there are out there, But anyway, so she wants to find out what he did with the angel tablet. And he won't tell her, so she tells the other angels to go to every bigger sins and search. He probably stashed it along the way. They come back, they said, no, it's not there, it's not in any of them. And, as they're talking, one of the angels gets shot through the neck and dies. And angel killing bullets? Since when? No. When did that happen? And then the other angel gets shot in the arm, and you turn and you see it's Crowley. So, he aims the gun at Naomi and says, he had one of the angel killing blades melted down and made into bullets, and it's very effective. And they play a little game of chicken, and she winds up leaving, and he shoots Cass in the stomach, in the gut, so that he'll have a slow, painful death. But in the meantime, he whisks Cass away along with one of the angels, the one that he shot in the arm, which is actually working for him. And when they get to his office, he starts talking to Cass about how Naomi thinks that her spell on him was broken by him, Castiel, by Castiel touching the angel tablet. And Crowley wondered to himself, well, if that's what broke the spell, why would he ever stop touching the tablet? And he said, well, I said to myself, he hasn't stopped touching the tablet. So he reaches into Cass's gut, gives him a little tickle, and he painfully yanks out the angel tablet. And that's when he got the call about Kevin. So he left and left Ion there to guard Cass as he slowly died. But, Ion wanted to wax poetic about how horrible it's been to work for Naomi. And, he's whining and looking out the window. Meanwhile, Cass pulls the angel killing bullet out of his gut and walks over to Ion, turns him around, and shoves the bullet in his eye. So Ion's a goner. Okay, so after the boys hear from Metatron that they have to cure a demon, they go driving off to go figure out what their next move is going to be and how they're going to attempt to cure a demon. And they're driving down the road, talking, and Dean wants to know that if after they do this third trial, will Sam get better, because Sam had said to him earlier that you know, he was having obscure memories from his childhood that, you know, he hadn't remembered before, and he remembered a time that Dean was reading a story to him about the Knights of the Round Table, and he saw a picture of Sir Galahad with light streaming on him, and he knew that he said to himself, I would never be able to do one of those trials because I'm not clean. And he's like, you know, do you think I knew even then as a kid that I had demon blood in me and that I wasn't pure? Because I think, you know, these trials aren't just something that I did. There's something that they're doing something to me as well. They're purifying me, they're cleaning me, and they're changing me. So that's why Dean is asking, you know, after we do these trials, you're going to be okay. And, you know, it's like, well, I hope so. Although I don't think Sam really thinks so. I don't think he does. But as they're driving down the road, they almost run over Cass, who, you know, I guess he's trying to get to the boys and phased on himself onto the middle of the road. That is this episode in a nutshell. So thank you for watching, and, you know, be sure to comment, thumbs up, or subscribe, whatever you want to do. Okay? Bye.